Shalom. We'll get started here in just a few moments.
Barakatah Yahweh Shah, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shah.
Believe me that I am in the Father, and the Father in me, or else believe me for the very work's sake. Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that believeth on me, the works that I do shall he do also, and greater works than these shall he do, because I go unto my Father. And whatsoever he shall ask in my name, that will I do, that the Father may be glorified in the Son. If ye shall ask anything in my name, I will do it. And he went forth and saw a great multitude, and was moved with compassion toward them, and he healed their sick. And when it was evening, his disciples came to him, saying, This is a desert place, and the time is now past. Send the multitude away, that they may go into the villages, and buy themselves victuals. But he said unto them, Let ye not depart, give ye them to eat. And they say unto him, We have here but 5 loaves and 2 fishes. He said, Bring them hither to me. And he commanded the multitude to sit down on the grass, and took the 5 loaves and the 2 fishes, and looking up to heaven, he blessed and brake, and gave the loaves to his disciples, and the disciples to the multitude. And they did all eat, and were filled, and they took up of the fragments that remained 12 baskets full. And they that had eaten were about 5,000 men.
All right. Hey, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto my power. Yahweh Bashim Yahushua Bashir Hakwadash. That's all praises to the Heavenly Father. His true name in the Hebrew is Yahweh. In his son's name, who the world and called Jesus Christ, real name in the Hebrew is Yahushua. Also give praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Kakwadash, the Holy Spirit, which is the force and entity that makes this edification possible. When I say shalom to you, sincere hearted Akim, wa akwat, that you brothers and sisters make your bodies a living sacrifice on a daily basis in this wicked and the doshish and the Rican who rule well. And I'm your brother Osmawat here from Great Millstone Dallas Camp, coming back this morning through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shema Shah to do another lesson. And our Lord's will, this lesson be found edifying, comforting, and warning unto the Lord's elect, the elect of the nation of Israel, as well as glorifying unto the names of my power, Yahweh Bashim Shah. And I want to briefly get into the topic at hand this morning concerning this that you can see on your screen before you. But UN warns of rising food and fuel prices risk pushing global hunger higher as humanitarian needs grow. Okay, and I entitled my lesson UN warns of famine due to rising food and fuel prices worldwide, and the very fact that there's a so-called risk, well, not a so-called, but that there's a risk of famine, and there's already people, okay, across the world, okay, that's the suffering from hunger. Okay, that goes to show you who's in rulership. Okay, the devil. Okay, Esau, Edom. Okay, as you read in the book of Revelation, the 6th chapter, it speaks about um, the black horse as well as that pale horse, and both of those horses, ultimately symbolizes Esau's rulership. As we know, he's also the red horse. But pertaining to the topic of this lesson, we're going to hone in upon how the black horse, okay, is Esau as the pale horse, which this man, he's killing with hunger. And this is one way out of many how he's going to cause the masses to submit, all right, and to taking that MOTB. Okay, and they're using these particular wars, inflation, soon to be hyperinflation, and all these particular things to ultimately make the people tired physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and just causing them to bow the knee to receive that chip. All right, because you got a lot of people, such as the likes of these far right wingers, and your Glenn Becks, your Dabus, your Alex Joneses, and you know, and saying, "Oh, I'm not really, you got to resist the beast." I'm not getting the microchip and all that. Well, it sounds good in theory. Okay, you got a little stockpile of food. Okay, whatever. Okay, but see, the powers that be, they understand and know that with them controlling the resources, basic necessities for life, your food, your water, well, they basically own you. You see, and that's nothing new. That's that's just a comes along with being empowered. You read that account in Genesis chapter, I believe it's Genesis 47. Okay, when there's a great dearth, there's a great famine that hit ancient Egypt. All right, and this is during the time when our forefather Joseph Yahweh, he was second in command underneath Pharaoh, and that famine got so bad to where the people came unto Egypt, and sold themselves. All right, then they sold their livestock, sold their land, just to get bread. You see, and so this is the same condition that Esau's putting. He's about to put the whole world in, to where you literally own nothing. Okay, to the point to where you're not even going to own yourself, and he's going to play up on your stomach. He's going to play on your flesh, and this is where the elect, okay, totally relies and trusts in Yahweh Shemal Shah, okay, for our sustenance, for our provision, for our food, as is written here in the book of Isaiah. Let's grab this in Isaiah 65. Because people think, it's all fun and games right now, okay, but just wait until you haven't eaten, all right? You haven't eaten in a day or two or three or four, okay? And your average American, they don't know what it's like to fast. They've never done that in their life. See, to us, we're acquainted with fasting. We do that often. It's mandatory at least for once a year during the Day of Atonement. So, but imagine these people that's never fasted. The closest they come to fasting is when they go to sleep. Then they wake up in the middle of the night, go to the refrigerator, grab something to eat. So it's about to be great pain, great misery out here. All right. Isaiah 65 and verse 13 says, "Therefore, thus saith the Lord Yahweh Shema Shah, behold, my servants shall eat." Okay, key word, servant. Okay, you got to be a full-time servant. See, in order to receive those benefits of the Lord, okay, you have to be full-time, not part-time. Okay, if you part-time, you don't get no benefits. You don't get dental and health and vision. Okay, insurance. No, you got to be full-time to receive the benefits, okay, of Yahweh by Shemal Shah. And he's going to take care of his servants, man, starting with our apostles and the men on down. So it says, "Behold, my servants shall eat, but ye shall be hungry." That's right, because these people, they don't serve the Lord, man. You see? "Behold, my servants shall drink, but you shall be thirsty. Behold, my servant shall rejoice, but ye shall be ashamed. Behold, my servant shall sing for joy of heart, but you shall cry for sorrow of heart, and shall howl for vexation of spirit." That's right, man. So I want to go ahead and read this real quick. Read this article. It's off of endtimeheadlines.org. All right, and it says UN warns rising food and fuel prices risk pushing global hunger higher as humanitarian needs grow. And once again, it's a shame to even, like, is people hungry? You see, but Esau orchestrated this. Like, how do you have billionaires? Okay, and as a matter of fact, real quick, when you type in here on the chat, I'm gonna type in billionaires. Yeah. How's there war hunger when you have millionaire and billionaires? says the world actually produces enough food. Globally, agriculture produces enough calories to feed 10 billion people, more than the current population. Yet, hundreds of millions still face hunger. The problem is actually access, not total supply. See? So when scripture speaks about famine, it doesn't mean that there's no food around. Okay, it's just that your access to that food, okay, is little to none. And why is that? Because the powers that be, okay, Esau Edom, the so-called white man. So he's the one that's grooming these conditions, okay, to bring great misery and great suffer, great pain. But ultimately, he's being used by Yahweh by Shemal Shah to usher in this famine, and it's nothing new. All right. So as we're reading this article, okay, UN warns of rising food and fuel prices risk pushing global hunger. Just understand and know that this is because of Esau. Okay, that pale horse, which it was prophesied that he would do what? Kill with hunger. Revelation chapter 6. Revelation chapter 6. I'll start at verse, I'll get the black horse, verse 5. And when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, come and see. And I beheld, and lo, a black horse, right? And black symbolizes death, okay, misery, mourning. It says, and lo, a black horse, okay, and we understand and know that horse represents power. You see, in Esau, he's in power right now. Job 9:24, the earth is given to the hand of the wicked. And he that sat on him and had a pair of balances in his hand. Now, we get that word balances, all right, zygos, a yoke that is put on draught cattle. And who's the cattle? The people, okay? And he's putting a yoke, all right, upon the people to guide and steer them in the direction that he wants them to go. Metaphor used of any burden or bondage. See, and as starting with the apostles been going into, okay, this system that's being set up, okay, it's a digital enslavement, a digital prison. You see, it's bigger than just they had Jake out there on the plantations, which yes, that's very well indeed, okay, bondage, slavery, captivity. But this system that they've designed through systematic oppression, all right, this is very well indeed still slavery, man. This is bondage, and they plan on solidifying it even more with digitalization. You can't say, eat, buy, drink, okay, think, piss, okay, whatever you need to do without his approval and without his acknowledgement, man. You see? So if you in your right mind, you would be crying out to Yahweh Shemal Shah. This devil is crazy, and he has no plans on stopping. That's why he's going to be, he has to be taken out of the way. 2 Thessalonians 2:7. For he who now letteth will let until he be taken out of the way. Because leave it up to this devil, he wants to continue to just make your life a living hell. Why? Because the Lord just created his spirit to just be wicked and evil, man. He can't help it. The only way out of this is through Yahweh Shemal Shah. It's not through your financial literacy, okay, your financial liberation, like JB talking about. You getting your credit score fixed, and you learning all the laws of Esau. You know how to fight him in court. And listen, Esau don't care about that shit, man. Okay, you just see how everybody just forgot about the East thing deal. Nobody got arrested. So you think this man cares about you knowing his laws? And you, come on, man. Our only way to receive justice is through Yahweh Shemal Shah. And that's why all this is happening in the world right now, World War III. Okay, it's because the Lord is pleading our cause. Okay, he's causing our justification to be, displayed, all right, through his son Yahweh Shah. And he's going to judge these heathen. But anyway, going back to this word, dang, what was this? Balances. Salakia. Yep, balances. Says as that of slavery. See, as that of slavery. And that's ultimately this system that's set up already. It's already ready. Okay, they just have to usher in the right conditions upon the earth in order to, bring this to fruition, this digital enslavement. And that's one of the main reasons of, why this war started. They, like almost every day you hear all these different reasons on why, and it's very vexing and taxing upon your spirit, man. But we gotta watch, we gotta pray, as Yahweh Shah command us to do. We gotta report these things, measure the times. But nonetheless, every day you hear new information. Oh, well, they bombed Iran. They did this because they're not owned by the Rothschild Bank, or because they're trying to get China, or because of this. Because at the end of the day, all right, at the end of the day, they're doing it because of prophecy, man. They have no choice. See, and they got to set up this system. All roads lead to the MOTB. This this is how they're ushering in that great reset. That's the conclusion of the matter, is by basically, fucking up the whole world economy. And what better way, okay, to put a chokehold on the Strait of Hormuz to, mess up the world economy to where now they can be justified and just making your life a living hell even more. Okay, people are already on their financial last leg. They're financially on their last leg. So this is just going to be the tipping point for millions, if not billions of people. You see? Verse 6, and I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, a measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny. And see, thou hurt not the oil and the wine. And you get that word penny real quick. Let's see. Where'd it go? There we go. This word penny. Denarion says a Roman silver coin in the New Testament time. It took its name from it being equal to 10 asses, a number after 217 BC, increased to 16, or about 3.89 grams. Okay, let's get it. Says it was the principal silver coin of the Roman Empire. That's the point right here. It was the principal silver coin of the Roman Empire, and when it revised Roman Empire. For the parable of the laborers in the vineyard, it would seem that a denarius was then the ordinary pay for a day's wage. So you're spending, everything that you just made for that for one day, whatever your salary is. I don't even know what the what. Let me type this in. What is the minimum wage? Yeah. As of now, the federal minimum wage in the United States is $7.25 per hour, and Texas state minimum wage is $15 per hour. Okay. All right. You work on average 8 hours. So everything you just made for that one day is all being spent, okay, on food, on bread. And that's just to sustain one person, one man, let alone if you have a family. Okay. God forbid if you have a family. You see? And they set the system up just right. They've calculated it. Scripture says, for their heart of every one of them is deep. Okay, they've strategically set up, ways to where they know exactly how much it takes for you to survive. How much you need. Monetarily. That is. And they want to keep you at a certain level, man. You're wage slaves. See? So you could keep coming back to him. So it says a measure of wheat for a penny and 3 measures of barley for a penny. See? So you a whole loaf of bread. A loaf of bread. Okay, for your whole day's wage. And see that thou hurt not the oil and wine, which is going into the truth. This truth is likened unto oil and is likened unto wine. The truth is still going to be here for the Lord's elect. And that's what's going to sustain the elect, man. Verse 7, and when he had opened the 4th seal, I heard the voice of the 4th beast say, come and see. And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him. Rings a bell? Yep. Habakkuk 2 and 5, which goes into Esau, Edom. So he's the reason why. Okay, millions of people, billions of people are about to, face hunger, extreme hunger, famine. See, as we just got on the chat, it said that let me read that again. Globally, agriculture produces enough calories to feed about 10 billion people, more than the current population, yet hundreds of millions still face hunger. The problem is actually access, not supply. See? So the problem is your access. Okay, and Esau, as scriptures say in Deuteronomy 28 and verse 48, you shall go to your enemies in want of all things for your food and for your water, for your basic necessities. So, all right, this is why, once again, we need salvation, bro. So let me go back here to Revelation 6 and 8. In the middle part, it says, and power was given unto him, given unto them over the fourth part of the earth. And where is that at? Right here in America. America is the fourth part of the earth. To kill with sword and with hunger. See? To kill with sword and hunger. He's weaponized the food. See? And even the food that you do eat, that's killing you too. It says, and with death and with the beasts of the earth. All right, so the sword is more than just the actual physical weapon of destruction. He's weaponized his whole earth. See? So let me go ahead and read this article. It says United Nations World Food Program, known as the WFP, is warning that surging food and fuel prices driven by the escalation of the conflict in the Middle East, could have ripple effects that will worsen hunger for vulnerable populations in the region and beyond. So this is their perfect opportunity for them to roll out that chip. They're going to continue to milk these wars that's going on, man, for their benefit, for their purpose, to starve you out, and so they could eat. The escalation has already had a devastating impact on civilians bearing the brunt of the violence through mass displacement, loss of life, and the destruction of essential infrastructure. As the conflict disrupts supply chains, drives up cost, and weakens the purchasing power of families, people already on the edge could be pushed further towards severe food insecurity. See? Jake think that we playing when we, prophesy, we bring out in the scriptures, relating or speaking about this famine. See, the Lord speaks about how he's going to send the evil arrows of famine. Let's grab that in 2nd Ezra 16. And this is how the Lord, one way how the Lord's going to break, these people's pride. It's by starving them out. 2nd Ezra 16. Evil arrows of famine. I know it's in 2nd Ezra 16. Oh, Ezekiel 5. Yeah, okay, Ezekiel 5. We'll have to get 2nd Ezra 16 as well. I mean, all of these scriptures are speaking, man. Ezekiel chapter 5. And this is in context, this is going into, the fall of Jerusalem, when the Lord had the Babylonians to come and lay siege against us before they carried us off into captivity. Well, as they laid siege, around Jerusalem, well, what did that cause? Famine, because food wasn't, coming in, coming out, we ran through all of our, supply, we went through all the granary, supply that we had. So it got to a point to where, Jake was being starved out. You see, and the Lord used our enemies. At this time, he used, the Neo-Babylonian Empire to bring in that famine. All right, but here in this time, there's a silent siege that's happening. People don't even know. See? Ezekiel 5 and 16. When I shall send upon them the evil arrows of famine. See? So this is ultimately the Lord that's sending this famine. This is why he is to be feared and to be served, man. Remember, we open up in Isaiah 65. He's going to feed his servants. when I shall send upon them the evil arrows of famine, which shall be for their destruction, and which I will send to destroy you, and I will increase the famine upon you, and will break your staff of bread. NLT, I will shower you with the deadly arrows of famine to destroy you. Man, bro. He says, I will shower you, meaning you're going to be saturated, drenched, okay, in famine. Everybody, those that the sword doesn't destroy. Okay. You know, Jake talking about, I ain't going to that draft. Okay, well, if you stay here, wherever you, it doesn't matter, bro. If you're wicked, if you're not part of the elect, the Lord going to deal with you, man. And that's why we pray and hope that we're part of the elect. You know, you read about, you know, those spirits created for vengeance in Sirach, the 39th chapter, famine, teeth of wild beasts, fire, you know, all these plagues, you know. So the Lord gonna get you, man. This ain't no joke. Says this, we're reading what the Lord himself said. So I don't get how people say, well, God is all love. It doesn't make, where do you read that in the Bible, man? I will shower you with the deadly arrows of famine to destroy you. The famine will become more and more severe. So it's going to get worse and worse and worse until every crumb of food is gone. Hey, there's one point in time in history, okay, when you read in the book of 2 Kings, the 6th chapter, okay, when there was that famine that hit Samaria. Let's get that real quick, because I've been referencing that a lot lately. In 2 Kings 6. And mind you, we're coming to a time such as never was since there's a nation. So it's going to, what we're about to read, just keep in mind that the time that we're coming in is going to get worse than this. And that's really it's hard to even compare that, bro, because it's like, man, how can you compare a time of trouble such as never was since there's a nation? So we need the Spirit of the Lord to get through this, man. 2 Kings 6. Let me find it real quick. This whole chapter really goes into it. Look, the siege of Samaria, cannibalism. See, cannibalism is in the scriptures, man. And we all know what cannibalism is. See, and that's a part of the curses. Now you would eat the flesh of your sons and daughters. It's nothing new. That's happened before a lot of times throughout history. So as strange as that may seem to you Babylonians, okay, it's cannibalism, okay, because, you know, your whole life you just, you know, been eating 3 times a day, you've been snacking throughout the day, okay. So the thought of having to eat somebody has never really came across your mind, but that's about to be enacted upon on a high level. Friends gonna be eating each other, literally. Okay, mothers gonna be eating their sons and daughters. Men are gonna be eating their wives. It's about to be scary, man. The Lord's about to turn this place into a haunted house. Pandemonium, all demons. He's about to allow all these demons just to run rampant. All right. 2 Kings 6. Let's see. Yep, 2 Kings 6 and 24. I'll get it here in the NLT. Sometime later, however, King Ben-Hadad of Aram mustered his entire army and besieged Samaria. As a result, there was a great famine in the city. The siege lasted so long that a donkey's head was sold for 80 pieces of silver. A donkey's head, bro. They ain't got no meat on it. Just maybe the cheeks. And then that's an unclean animal. See? The siege lasted so long that a donkey's head was sold for 80 pieces of silver, and a cup of dove's dung sold for 5 pieces of silver. Man, see, people gonna be in these times. People gonna be looking up under their car seat for that old stale French fry that they drop underneath their car seat. You know, that's gonna be like you find a treasure. You find that old ass French fry. You know, or you find that goddamn peppermint that's been melted, you know. Verse 26, one day as the king of Israel was walking along the wall of the city, a woman called to him, please help me, my lord the king. He answered, if the Lord doesn't help you, what can I do? Man. And that's the time we in, bro. It's going to be every man and himself. Yahweh Bashmal Shah is about to deal with everybody personally. Let me get this in real quick in Ezekiel 22. I want to say 14. This is why he's to be feared, man. We're not playing around when we tell Jay, hey, you better fear the Lord. Ezekiel 22 and 14, the Lord Yahweh is asking you a question right here. He says, can thine heart endure, or can your hands be strong in the days that I shall deal with thee? I, the Lord Yahweh, have spoken it and will do it. The Lord's about to deal with everybody on a very personal level, man. Esau got you out here thinking that there is no God. Okay, oh, we about to see, and you're gonna know. Hey, what does scripture say? Psalms 9 and 16, the Lord Yahweh, Bashim Shah, is known by the judgment which he executed. So you're gonna know exactly who's doing this to you. He's gonna make himself known. And you're gonna be like, damn, man, I wish I would have got right. I wish I would have listened to those crazy ass dudes out there on the street corner, man. I wish I wasn't playing no games. You see? He answered, if the Lord doesn't help you, what can I do? See, and that spirit is going to be upon, hey, the men of the Lord, bro. It was already upon the men of the Lord. Like, bro, if the Lord ain't dealing with you, what can I do? I have neither food from the threshing floor nor wine from the press to give you. But then the king asked, what is the matter? She replied, this woman said to me, come on, let's eat your son today. Then we will eat my son tomorrow. Yo, we're coming to a time of trouble such as never was since there's a nation. So we cooked my son and ate him. Then the next day I said to her, kill your son so we could eat him. But she has hidden her son. When the king heard this, he tore his clothes in despair. And as the king walked along the wall, the people could see that he was wearing burlap on his robe next to his skin. See? And you continue to read, but that goes to show you, man, how tough things got back then. See? And look what people do right now. You know, look how people just go out of their minds, you know, if they haven't eaten for a day, you know, or they, you know, the line too long in the drive-through, they throw a fit, you know, especially the so-called black woman. I've been waiting for 20 minutes for my order. And she fighting everybody up in there, cursing. So they do these things in a green tree. Let's grab that. Luke 22. And this is when a few daughters of Jerusalem, daughters of Israel, was weeping for Yahweh Shai as they saw Yahweh Shai, being marched to go, well, as he was, walking, as he was carrying his cross, about to go, lay down his life, be crucified. So this is what he said. This is what they said. Verse Luke 23 and 27. And there followed him a great company of people and of women, which also bewailed and lamented him. But Yahweh Shah, turning unto them, said, daughters of Jerusalem. And when you read this word daughters in the plural sense, that's speaking about, the women of our nation. Daughter of Jerusalem, okay, in the singular sense, that's speaking about the nation in general. All right, so he's talking to the actual women, right? Now, mind you, Yahweh Shai, he's all bloody, bruised up, battered, he's been punched, spitted on, whipped. He's carrying his heavy ass cross. Okay, but he took his precious time to stop and turn around, okay, and tell, okay, these Eve right here, these Eves, he says, daughters of Jerusalem, weep not for me, but weep for yourselves and for your children. For behold, the days are coming in the which they shall say, blessed are the barren and the wombs that never bear, and the paps which never gave suck. Now, the reason why he was saying this because 70 AD, okay, was, to come on the scene, in the near future at that time. See, but we're coming into times to where it's 70 AD times a million, 70 AD on steroids. See, verse 30, then shall they begin to say to the mountains, fall on us, and to the hills cover us. And see, so these prophecies, man, are a double fold. So yeah, he was speaking about 70 AD, but it also applies to these times, because this is what, these elites going to be saying when you read Revelation, the 6th chapter, to the mountains and to the hills, fall upon us, hide us from the wrath of the Lamb. Verse 31, this is what he says. For if they do these things in a green tree, what shall be done in the dry tree? So Jake losing his mind now in the green tree. What they're going to be like in the dry tree? Well, I tell you, what the scriptures tell you. This is what they're going to be like in the dry tree. 2nd Ezra 15. And 2nd Ezra 15 and verse 18. For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. So as the UN is giving a warning, okay, it's giving this warning about, food and fuel prices, risk pushing global hunger. Just understand and know what comes along with that. Okay, cannibalism, friends against friends. Okay, mothers eating their sons and daughters. See? Somehow, some way through it all, the Lord's going to protect his elect. See? That's why Yahushua says, think not for what you shall eat, what you shall drink. For all those thoughts, consume the minds of the Gentiles. See? Even speaking about the Gentiles of our people that's caught up, okay, in a Gentile state of mind. That's for these people to worry about. These people in the world, man. If you're serving Yahweh Bashamal Shai, hey, listen, you ain't got to worry about it, man. That's why we can, read this article, report up on it, and we still comforted, man, because we know who we serve, and we believe, we have faith that he's going to take care of us, man. Psalms 115, Psalms 111 and verse 5, he have given meat unto them that fear him. See, do you fear the Lord? All right, well, you'll eat then. Don't worry. Fret not. Now, hey, he may test us, okay, to where, he may go without, eating a day or two, maybe 3, but if you're part of the elect, he going to make sure you're good, man. You're not going to die of famine. The elect will not die of famine, bro. Okay. They're not going to die of famine. We're reading it. He have given meat unto them that fear him. He will ever, meaning always, be mindful of his covenant. That's right. So there's going to be Israelites out here eating for the covenant's sake. And why? Because he put his name on it. And the Lord, he's not a man that he should lie. And we know how jealous he is when it comes to the reputation of his name. He will not allow his name to be tarnished. See, and he promised Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob that, okay, he's going to raise up their seed to inherit the land forever. So if every Israelite was to die, well, who's going to be saved? You see, how is his promises going to come into fruition? All right. And there's all different types of scriptures, and man, it's all throughout the scriptures, man, that warns and prophesies of this famine that's coming very soon. So that's what these wars are leading into. See, right now, it's all, everybody doing TikTok videos and acting like they been warning the people. And okay, you got to stand on it. Stand on your business, man. See, everybody bringing out all this information about the war, which that's good. Ultimately, it's all for for the elect's sake, to look at these things, to report upon it, because these people are going to die anyway. You see. And you got Glenn Beck talking about you got to resist the beast. It sounds good until Esau starves your ass out. And who's to say that you're even going to have access, okay, to the food that you've stored up? You see? ultimately, this stored up food, all this food that's being stored up, a lot of it's going to be for the Lord's elect, man. He's going to cause his elect. He's going to guide them into these particular bunkers and, pantries and empty homes, you know. So let me get that. What's that? Job 21. Let's try this. Job 27. Yep. Job 27. And 16. Though he heap up silver as the dust and prepare raiment as the clay, he may prepare it. See, he may prepare. You got all these preppers, okay, preparing, their provision, food, water, clothing, okay, what they call it, it's fallout mask and all that stuff, just, gear that one would need during a time of, great trouble, calamity, these preppers, right? So it says he may prepare it, but the just shall put it on, and the innocent shall divide the silver. See? So the Lord's going to have his elect to run across a lot of these things that's been prepped up. So keep prepping. For all you preppers, you got the Canadian prepper. Hey, keep prepping. All right? You're really preparing it for the elect. You're not going to be able to partake into that. Your ass is going to be slam packed into a goddamn FEMA camp. Esau going to torture the shit out of you, while the elect is partaking of the fruits of your prepping. See why? Because the elect has been prepping in the spirit. That's why Yahweh told them, hey, don't take no thought, man. I already got you covered. I put the spirit upon, okay, these Gentiles out here to worry about that. Really for you. Come on, man. So you can't lose. You can't lose when you serve Yahweh Shemal Shah. All right, but I'm gonna have to leave it there. I kind of got started a little late. But Lord's willing, this was edifying unto you sincere Akim and Akwath, all right, of the hopeful elect, and Shalom. All you brothers and sisters that tuned in, Yahweh Shema Shabbat Thumb. Oh, yeah, let's get that. The brother G.M.S. Tazadat put up Proverbs 13:22. A good man leaveth an inheritance to his children's children, and the wealth of the sinner is laid up for the just. There you have it. That's it. So, all right, Lord's willing, this was edifying. Till next time, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to my power, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Chakodash. I want to double honor my beloved apostle, Elder Great Millstone, Muwafa Babal, Shalom.